away. Here we go. The beginning of the end is upon us. Game 6 of the final day here at the North American Regional Championships. After the next 35 minutes, we're going to find out who are the 4 players that will dominate, that will absolutely exterminate the competition in just 2 weeks on the global stage. Will it be someone like Prestavant, the newcomer to Set 7? Will it be one of the old guard, Soju, one of his best friends in real life? Will it be Goobums, who's been prophesied as one of the best newcomers of the second wave? Or will we see Kuramex reclaim his championship throne aspirations? We'll start things off first with Rainplosion, who is all but guaranteed her spot. Rookie of the set in contention with Amdi, but it's hard to argue with that right now.
Yeah, Amdi had one outstanding tournament this set in the mid-set and a few other really nice performances, but start to finish, Rainplosion has been an absolute monster. She has been so consistent in each and every tournament in which she has played. I am so excited we're going to get to see her play at the World Championship, and she is going to be the biggest single impact on the rest of this field, because if she makes it in at second place, then we're going to AVP, and if she doesn't, then someone's going to be fighting for that second place spot, so we're going to have to pay very close attention to her game from start to finish here.
And it's cool to see women represented on that global stage as well. Rain is fighting more than just for herself. So all energy, a lot of people are rooting for her as we start things off with a strong Lagoon opener. Has some pretty open-ended components. Tier invest. Is it going to be more gold, some champions, or is it going to be another item? Either way, she is set for success with some pretty decent pairs as well as some good traits.
Yeah, and a little bit of efficiency there with hiding that Malphite. She's able to get to 4 Lagoon stacks, and you never know when those stacks are going to wind up paying dividends. An immediate grab of preparation has been one of the most consistent augments throughout the tournament. It is a high priority on a bunch of lines. Seraphine Graves being one of them, but to be honest with you, we have not seen a lot of Seraphine Graves out of Rain. It has not been core to her game plan, at least not thus far.
It's just tough because you have 2 players in the lobby who will try to play it whenever they can. It's mainly Kurum as the first option, but Robin also looks for that, even though Robin today has been forced off that line on multiple occasions, and it has not worked out for him nearly as well.
It hasn't. Rain with a generic item opening, a lot of folks would probably slam a Gargoyle Stone Plate there, would help her get some more casts off from her Lagoon units, but one thing we've talked about multiple times for Rain today is that she is not afraid to greed these items. There's a reason why she has so many first place this tournament. She is constantly holding on to those item components to play towards outs later in the game and to really try to cap out her board.
Yep, on the other side, Kuramex slamming that Zeeks, almost like clockwork, and this is the advantage that so many players talking about. When you start Sword or even Belt, you just have that capability of starting off with Zeeks and getting yourself, almost planting, drawing a line in the sand of what you're trying to accomplish. Like, hey, I have the Zeeks, you know I like to play this composition. If you want to hold hands with me, feel free. And that's what scares off so many of these players, especially in a Game 6 situation.
Absolutely. The entire field will be scouting around trying to determine the appropriate line from this situation, and Kurum has planted a flag in this game. He's planted a flag this entire tournament. If you want to contest Seraphine Graves, then you have to do it through Kuramex. Also has that early Volibear. Doesn't have the Shimmer Scale online yet, but I expect him to get it online relatively soon, with Volibear being the hardest piece to find. Kurum really has a couple of ways of getting here. He's the leader on AVP. He's also solid spot points-wise to theoretically be able to get into the top 2, depending on how things go for Rainplosion in this game. So Kurum off to an excellent start in this pivotal game number 6.
Rob board with Kyvix, the player who wants to play for that crown. A little nice moment between Rain visiting Kyvix's board just to evaluate what he's doing, and a little bit of emote exchange back and forth. You can see as much as these players are competitors, they're rivals, they're also respecting each other throughout the entire process. So really nice job here from Kyvix to get that streak going, able to beat Sag. For Sag, it does feel like he's the one person on the outside looking in. He has 0 ways to make the World Championship right now. But hey, even getting to this point, in his own words, was kind of a miracle run, and he was just happy to be here.
happy to be here, happy to be in the top 16, happy to be in the top 8. It hasn't been his day yet today, but he has a bright future in competitive TFT. Being able to top 8 in the regional championship in your second ever competitive TFT event is no joke. Look at what's happened with Kyvix. He's played in regionals in the past. He's played in a bunch of TFT tournaments, and he's only starting to get over that hump where he's actually competing for real on this stage. Another solid opening for him. He's won his first couple of fights. He slammed a Bramble Vest. No Guardians. He's playing more in the Jade Tree for now, but Guardians have been core to his strategy, so it would not surprise me to see him find his way into a Guardian-oriented board in the relatively near future.
All right, we're going up against Robin, who is AFK, and therefore will be losing his first 3 rounds and racking up that goal count. We'll see. Robin just hasn't been able to replicate that set 5 Reckoning finals where he went 1-1-1 basically the entire day except for one game.
Lag.
It was a little bit of lag. But even just getting to this point, showing his consistency, a lot of people are saying this should be yet another feather in his cap to show that Rob is one of the most consistent players North America's ever seen.
Taking a look at our augments from the opening round, Silver, so we're relatively low in power levels. A couple of generic grabs in Celestial Blessing, and the prep we see Kurum X with the Electro Charge, Robin with AFK as you highlighted, Pivix with Blue Battery, and Goobums with Bruiser Heart. We've seen 2 bruiser-oriented augments picked so far today. Both of them have been by Goobums. The first one did not work out so well. The Double Trouble seemed interesting, but did not pan out. Hopefully this Bruiser Heart game goes better for Goobums because while he is completely out of this tournament in dead last in terms of ability to make it into the top 2 or even potentially LCQ being a reach for him, AVP still on the table for him if Rain gets second place, so he needs a strong finish in this game despite being only at 13 points on the day.
It goes to show you how well Goobums did on day 1 and day 2. The fact that he has averaged barely over a 7th place right now today in this tournament, it just shows you how well he did yesterday and the day beforehand. So Goobums, we'll see how he's able to accomplish this going to gate number 6, but he basically needs the best possible placement. More importantly, he needs to outplace Kurum relatively significantly, and then the rest of the people behind him to make sure that they don't just leapfrog him. If he gets like a 3rd, but Kurum goes 2nd, that still doesn't help his AVP.
That's exactly right. Taking a look at Kyvix, still on that win streak. There are 2 players win streaking. We've got Kyvix and we've got Goobums. This should be an easy fight win going up against Rain, who is under-leveled, level 4 on 2-5. Rain taking another loss here. Surprise, surprise. Kyvix playing from ahead, Rain playing from behind, both in comfort zone, and Goobums, who has not had one of these crazy high rolls just yet, gets an itis on his 2-6 shop, and he has 5 Shimmer Scale. He's got Determined Investor and Big Gem, a lot of power from the Shimmer Scales trait for Goobums.
It's a lot of power that will ramp up. The thing about his augment, or rather his Shimmer items, is that they get stronger the later the game goes. Right now, Determined Investor is the weakest it'll ever be, and the Big Gem, there's just not much to scale. He doesn't have a big goal count. He has a lot of units to get that benefit from it. Has a blessing by not facing Kyvix, the 2 win streakers, which is, you know, kind of been a really big deal for both these players. They were able to convert to wins, but Precedent has a Kaisa 2 on the other end, and this Itis is not able to get a 2nd cast of the Golden Scale, so it looks like Goobums slightly outmatched, not able to actually get through this front line for Precedent quick enough, but this is something that we kind of expected because his 5 Shimmer Scale is ramping up to something bigger.
Yeah, ramping up to something bigger for sure. Kyvix maintaining the win streak on the lower right, and actually Precedent had only lost his first fight, so he will also be streaking as he heads into this neutral round. With that preparation, Precedent is still very much alive in this tournament at 23 points. He's only 3 points back of Rainplosion and 1 point back of Soju and Kurum X respectively. So look, he needs to take care of business for himself, and he needs a little bit of help from some of these other players as well, but still very much in the hunt in this Game 6.
Yeah, nice heads-up play, putting the units that he wants to play next round onto his bench to get those preparation stacks. The downside, he doesn't get to stack Lagoon, which is somewhat meaningful. Some players actually lean back and forth, but prep stacks are more important to make sure you can play a more sturdy stage 3, even though it pulls you a little bit further away from those rewards that you're looking for. For Precedent, he does have that Rune and Slam, and he finds another bow and a rod, which opens himself back up to a line that's been a love-hate relationship. He's been playing a lot of Xayah. Is he willing to dip once more back into this AD tree?
He's been forced onto the Xayah a couple different times today because it felt like his augments pushed him there. He didn't have a lot of other outs, but in this situation, it feels quite strong to me. We've been talking about the difference of playing Xayah from behind and ahead. He rolls there, starting to think about what he's going to prep for later on in the game. It's very, very interesting. He can definitely play around this Siphon and play the standard Soifin line, which has been both his and Soju's preferred line overall for this tournament, it seems.
You also saw the POV. Rainplosion was rolling a decent amount on 6 to try to get her board online, but we have the matchups here in front of us. Robin versus Prestovant, which is very nice. Robin is trying to lose one last time before he commits to a big roll down. Robin also seems like he's going to try to go for what looks like to be Yone off his current setup, but a lot can change as we come up on the 3-2 augment. As Rain looks like not able to get the easy win, has to rely on that Ezreal 2.
It's an Ezreal 3, I think, actually.
Oh,
she's rolling on level 4, and she's playing an Ezreal reroll strategy. This is the first time we've seen this from Rainplosion. I think it might be the first time we've seen this tournament. It's been incredibly popular in other regions. We've seen it in Chinese regionals. We've seen it in European regionals, but in general, the North American meta has been very narrow compared to the rest of the world, and this is once again Rainplosion showing her research and flexibility, playing to an out that other people aren't looking for. We'll have to follow along and see how that performs in this game because it has huge implications for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, the Prestovant you can see just chilling here at 3-2 while Robin is committing to a big 3-2 roll down. Interesting that Robin wasn't trying to commit to a level 7 roll down, instead rolling at 6. This is uncharacteristic of Robin. Coming into today, Robin hadn't rolled at 3-2 a single time. And you're telling me that he's going to be doing it in multiple games in a row when his primary game plan wasn't working. And I think that's a good thing because his primary game plan was not working out today.
Yeah, it hasn't been working out today. He's been contested on that Seraphine line. He's struggled to find his footing. It feels like each of the players in this tournament have had clear leans, and Robin had his coming in, but he's been disrupted by the complexion of this final lobby and just hasn't been able to find an avenue to go in. We saw him finally, someone else playing that Kai'Sa reroll last game, working out pretty well for him. Maybe that could have been an area where he could have been contesting Rainplosion earlier in the tournament, but not a lot to do about it now. Rainplosion grabs that Featherweight's augment. If you're going to be stuck on silver augments, having prep and featherweights for an Ezreal reroll strategy is pretty good.
It's a little bit awkward with featherweights and Ezreal in particular because a lot of people like to prioritize blue buff for the cast. Ezreal is an AP champion, not really an AD as many people remember from, say, the Innovator days in Gizmos and Gadgets. Ezreal instead wants an Archangels, wants Guardians to surround him, and then he scales. He definitely is not a high burst champion in the beginning, but by the end of the fight, his Mystic shots would be dealing 1,200 damage or so when it ramps up. And so to have featherweights be part of that is a little bit interesting because the auto attacks don't matter that much, but it helps the Guardians with their movement speed, and plus you never know if those extra casts off those 1 and 2 costs will be a big difference.
It could also just be a way of casting more, right? The attack speed is a great way of getting the chain casting, so if you don't have blue buff, you have Archangel, the attack speed can be a way of kind of rotating through your cast as your Archangel ramps up. Not a bad selection there. Meanwhile, Robin at 40 gold with a Deja on level 6, also has a Yone. I think he was thinking about playing around a Yone reroll strategy with these extra bows, but then he hit that Deja on 6, and it's Duelist Dexterity, one of the stronger Deja variants. Robin leans into that, but he takes a fight loss here against Soju, who has that early Jace, and Soju has played this mid-game throughout the tournament very, very well, in particular leaning into Jace as a really strong carry. Mort Dog tells us he's the premier AP carry of the set. Soju is buying some stock of Jace, and it has worked out for him not just in this game, but in other games as well.
Just got to make sure to sell high, but if you're going to be playing flexibly as he is, Soju's been really good at timing when he needs to change his game plan, but it also seems like a lot of today's games, Soju's been contested in a lot of the comps that he's going for. We'll see whether or not he's able to convert off of it, because I agree. I think Soju's mid-game has been fantastic this tournament. I think his early and mid is where he's been outmatched by some of these other people. And it could be the positions he put himself in because he regularly gets into low eco situations. That's an Ao Shin in his shop as well as a Xiao Yu. He's got a lot of options at his disposal right now.
I think this Ao Shin is a bait. This unit has taken so many nerfs over the course of the set. It's just really hard to get the conditions to work. You really want to Shoujin at this point, it feels like, to get that mana generation rolling. It's going to be so late into the fight where Alshin's actually able to cast. I do think that this Jace is going to be a more consistent carry, and since he's playing around his 4-win streak, he wants to lean into that, so I definitely see where he is coming from.
Yes, but there also are units onto his board that don't really do much. For example, he didn't have a unit to play, so he just played a Zac. And so when you're telling me that, you know, he's carrying this Jace primarily, which I understand, I think a lot of people kind of forget that Guild Aoshin still is a thing. It's just like Guild Deja is still a thing, but people have just kind of fallen out of it. And I think this comes down to comfort. I just don't think Soju's comfortable, which is so strange. I'm pretty sure if this was Ladder, if he was entertaining his tens of thousands of fans on Twitch, he would instantly say, sure, let's try it and see how it goes. And if he goes 8th, he says, well, that's a faster commercial break. But in this environment, he is put back to the wall. He says no, and that's a different Soju than you're used to seeing.
And he's never been in this environment before. He has made the final day of regionals one time
wow,
in the past.
subtle flame. He's never been here before.
But he's never really been in contention in the final game, right? He was functionally eliminated heading to that last game, so having the stakes be really high for him in this final game where he's in a very realistic shot to compete here. He only needs to score a couple of points beyond Rain, 3 to be safe because he probably loses the tiebreaker to her. So still very competitive, win streaking in this game at 92 HP. He's in an excellent, the first half of the game has gone very well for Soju. If he can continue this trend, maybe we see Soju in the World Championship. What a time to be alive.
Let's not count our chickens before they hatch. We still have a lot of TFT to go as this closes stage 3 with a win for Goobums and Soju. If Soju can wrap up stage 3 with a win, that would be massive for him. As we're taking a look at the fight in the bottom corner, the Jace able to get the strike. Soju is streaking at the end of stage 3, and as we take inventory, let's check in on the total life counts here, as we do have a lot of players below that 50 mark. Look at the gap between some of these players. As from Kurum below, it just seems to be a huge amount of players that are low HP, but it makes sense for Robin because he started off AFK, but as we know, Sag was not trying to do something like that, so that looks like a really poor start here for Sag.
Very poor start for Sag. Sag actually has late game specialist. We didn't get a chance to talk about that, trying to find his way into that level. Goobums actually gets the diamond hands on this, so he's got a lot of power. We saw Prestivan on the side hitting both a Olaf too. Oh my god, a Yasuo and a Bard in a shop on level 7. Whoa. Mortdog has not had Goobums back today overall, in addition to some questionable plays at times from Goobums, considering how good he's been throughout the rest of the tournament. But this is incredibly impressive. I also saw Prestivan hit a Siphon 2 and an Olaf 2 on the sidebar, so he's getting very strong, still very competitive. Rainplosion down at 50 HP, does have that Ezreal 3. We'll have to see what items she got offered, and we're going to get a chance to look at them right now. Just the tier still. She's been dropping all of the good items for herself throughout this tournament, but this game is not going well. Again, Rain is going to make Worlds no matter what, but if she drops out of second place, then this is going to be a 3-person race between Soju, Kurum, and Prestivan for that final World spot.
Yeah, Goobums is not happy actually to see Rain this week. It's not like Goobums wants to lose, but he also doesn't want Rain's board to suck. And the fact is, this board sucks from Rain. It's just not good. There's no items on Ezreal, and you need items on your carry. That's TFT 101.
Yeah, and there's not a lot she can do about it. She just hasn't gotten offered the items yet, as we get a prismatic augment in the final game. Are you kidding me?
Wow, it just had to end this way. It just had to.
It had to.
And Goobums does not want it to end right here. He's been carrying Talia too. We haven't given him enough credit. Finding ways to carry in an unusual way. He finds a Deja. He rolls past the Deja. What is Goobums planning? Is he going to put it all on the line for Seraphine Graves? I see a Graves pair. I see that he had Seraphine as an option. And is he going to transition into Seraphine-itis? This actually was a callback to the very beginning of PBU when we saw this Cannoneer Lagoon Shimmer composition being a very balanced and also quite a flexible composition. Is Goobums going to end this the way it started?
the whole server basically plays the same 7 units over and over again when they play this composition, and Goobums has played it a couple of different ways already this tournament, showing off that right now he thinks Itis is stronger, trying to play around the 5-shimmer scale. We also saw Rainplosion's board go gold on the lower right-hand corner, hitting the 3-star of Zac and the 3-star of Leona, so she's got her front line massively leveled up. She's just going to need to get some damage items onto this Ezreal. If she can hold on to enough HP, she just gets a win there, gets a Carousel Rod, gets more damage items off of the Treasure Dragon. She could easily wind up securing second place in this tournament. Only time is going to tell.
Oh, and just that insult to injury, Robin, who did find that Deja, rolled it all the way down. He found an Aurelian Soul as well. Goobums has a lot of HP to play with, so not under tremendous amounts of pressure. As we take a look at Prestivent, another player on the outside, but not by that many points. Prestivent has a 2-star Jace, a pair of Xiaoyu and Pantheon, and a fully prepped Siphon too. This is a pretty strong board for Stage 4.
It's an outrageously strong board for Stage 4. He thought fast in order to get there, and apparently he thought fast enough, hitting big upgrades across the board. Would like to have found another Pantheon or a Xiaoyu, but rolling on 7 can make that challenging.
Oh, gosh.
Going up against K3 Soju,
Oh,
fast
my
baited.
God.
And once again, they are going head-to-head on the exact same line, and in this, the crucial game where only one of them has a realistic chance of making it, is it going to be neither of them make it because they're contesting each other?
Look at his third augments. Soju is risking it all. When he needs to go big, he takes one of the biggest risks you can possibly do in TFT. He's taken Curse Crown, which gives you 2 slots but doubles the damage. If this is not first or 8th, then I don't know what is.
Oh my God, Soju putting it all on the line in the final game, trying to fight his way into the second place, and he's in an amazing position to do it. He's got 92 HP right now. He's got a pretty strong board, able to deal with Precedent's extremely upgraded Soifin board for 4-3, and the reality of the situation is Curse Crown puts a 6-dragon win con on the table for Soju if he can find his way to level 9.
Taking a look at the rest of the augments here, Kivix took Windfall, an unusual choice for gold. Rainplosion took Featherweights 3,
Whoa.
stacking Featherweights. Now you start to get real serious business. Maybe you don't have to have blue buff because, like you said, stacking that attack speed can really matter. And then Sag, you're talking about gold. He went Late Game Specialist into Shimmer Crown. That is some big-time plays. Everybody is in the TFT arms race for Uncharted Realms. Kivix is already level 9 at 4-5.
I thought they took level up out of the game, Dan. What is happening here? He uses Windfall as basically diet level up. He goes to level 9. He's got 20 gold to work with. He's carrying a Karma 2. He's got 1 copy of Itis so far. He does have a meaningful amount of HP to work with, still 47. It doesn't look like the transition is going amazingly for him, but there's a lot of perspective power for him. We see his board. He winds up playing around the Deja carry right now, not able to hit an Aurelian Soul, which I assume is his primary out as he's played to for the entire tournament.
Does have the big gem, but only a little bit of gold. No, the Siphon's already onto the back line. This is excellent for Prestivent, and Kivix is sweating. Here comes the Rampage bite. Kivix can't take too many more losses like this. He's at 47, down to 32. A third of his life chunked out just like that. What's happening elsewhere? We're looking at Soju crushing his way through to another win, but Curse Crown fights go like that. It's looking good until it doesn't, as Soju racks up another win. But keep in mind, it cuts both ways. Yes, he takes more damage if Soju loses, but how much more damage is he dealing to everybody by winning by 2 more units or even more?
Yeah, he's putting so much pressure on the lobby. We see Goobums hitting on Yasuo too. I wouldn't want to end it any other way. We have final game Prismatic, and this lobby is going to get out of control on the power levels. We're starting to see big damage come through on the lower end. Robin down at 24 HP already. Sag could go out before even seeing the Treasure Dragon if he takes a bad enough beat here.
I mean, we'll just have to see here. Kivix needs to last out this stage as best as he can. Takes a nasty shroud from Kurum, who's front-rowed all of his champions in order to get this nice edge 3 value, trying to get backline access. But this stage is kind of in the comfort zone. This is almost exactly what Kivix wants. The gold gem activates, and everything is clumped up perfectly for the Deja Wind Blast. Able to work now onto the Volibear. And if he's just able to wipe it out, Kurum has nothing else left. But here comes the Volibear charging the back line. Jay survives just long enough. And Jace is a carry, but sometimes he tanks long enough to outlast a bunch of the DPS coming its way.
Kyvix gets a reprieve there going up against Kurum, who's getting ready to transition his whole board at level 8. It looks like he wants to play the Seraphine Graves comp, but he's going to go to level 8 instead of staying at level 7. We're re-rolling. He gets offered a duplicator as well as a rod and a cloak. He's thinking about it. I think this is a pass. If you're Kurum, you really need to play for top 2 from this position, which is not normally his comfort zone. It's not how he likes to play TFT, but given the tournament dynamics, it really is a first or 8 situation. 3 Thieves Gloves for a composition where everybody's going to be doing work.
Is that another prismatic level, power level Chaos Dragon? I've ever seen one, as he's able to get 3 Thieves Gloves and basically itemize the rest of his composition. In fact, right now, didn't even have the slots available, so he has to do some accounting here on how he can maximize his spot. And Kurum needs to come up big here. He only has a pair of Graves, no Graves 2. Can he finally piece it together? He's done such a good job to climb back in AVP standings. Can he make that final leap?
That's the thing. The position really matters here for Kurum. He has to both play for the second place spot if he can get there above Rain, and he needs to play for highest placement, especially relative to Goobum, so that he can try to hold on to that AVP slot. It is such a wild finish here for Kurum. He does get the Graves, but he doesn't feel like he can make that transition. He doesn't want to get off of this Volibear 2 onto a Graves 1. He's in a pretty weak board state, it has to be said, but the Knife's Edge 3 is pitching in chip damage from across the team. This Siphon is dashing. It's going to bite, but it does not bite the Seraphine. The Seraphine is still alive, but there's just too much threat on Prestiven's side for the current state of Kurum X's board. Kurum's going to take a loss here. Meanwhile, we see Sag in the lower right-hand corner. He did get to level 9 with that late-game specialist. He's transitioned. He's got an Aurelion Soul too. What is his front line? Is there a world in which Sag goes from all the way at the bottom to all the way at the top and plays spoiler in this game?
Soju just lost 22 HP from that loss. He was at 92. He's down to 70. This is exactly what people fear the most, and that is what makes Cursed Crown, in my opinion, one of the highest skill cap prismatic offerings that you can manage, because you can't make any mistakes, and even if you play everything perfectly, sometimes you just lose. That is TFT. That is not weakness. So we have to see whether or not Soju can do it. Deja 2 on top. Meanwhile, for Rainplosion, who's trying to play for that second place and also potentially win this tournament, is now down to what could be her last life, going up against Kurum, who does not have that Graves, still carrying a Kaisa 2. Maybe that big gem can come up big, but Ezreal's trying to wail away and rack up those mystic shots, trying to work onto the Daisy and get all the way to the back line. Kurum does not have enough DPS to even crack through this Zac 3, and I think that Rainplosion can finally make her way back and keep her chances alive to win this tournament. Sag eliminated in 7th. We have one contender out of the throne, and Rain's going to keep her tournament aspirations alive.
She keeps her tournament aspirations alive, and we are only one elimination away from being able to crown Kyvix the winner, because there's a 5-point delta between Kyvix and Rainplosion going into this game. If Kyvix gets into the 5th place spot, he is guaranteed to win this tournament because of his 3 first place today. So that's a storyline we have to keep our eye on. We see Kurum hits a Graves 2, basically no gold. How does he always pull the rabbit out of his hat? Kyvix with another Aurelion Soul, or I think it's the first Aurelion Soul 2, actually. Now that Sag put him back in the pool, Kyvix is playing for first place. We have Soju getting another win at 7 HP, but he was low on gold on level 8. I talked about the 6 dragon win condition. I worry if he's not able to get to level 9 to get 6 dragons online, is he going to be able to build a board strong enough to ultimately hold on this lobby, especially when you look at the incredible power level on Kyvix's board right now.
This is the final boss for the Ezreal board. You have a hard time beating these AP Dragon boards because Ezreal has so much to clean up, but we're working up to the front line. Jace is not going to hold for much longer. Jace is down. Aurelion Soul's Black Hole is not targeting Ezreal whatsoever. Ezreal's ramping up. Also has the Bloodthirster help keep it alive and sustain. The Ascendant Black Hole takes out 80, 90%, but Ezreal's healing back up as fast as he can. But here comes the 3rd Black Hole, which should be good enough, and Rainplosion eliminated at the hands of her arch nemesis. Kyvix seals the deal. That should do it for the North American Regional Champion.
Kyvix is your North American Regional Champion. He rated himself 24th out of 24 coming into this event. No confidence in himself, and he puts on a clinic from start to finish. He was the best player. He will blow the field out in points. He will have by far the average placement, and we will see him at the World Championship.
And what a contrast to Kurum X dipping out in 5th place. An unceremonious exit for a former champion, but a hell of a fight that he put up. Team Liquid Kermex will be back as Goobums has now outplaced him by 1, but is playing with extra credit as he is streaking. Soju now down to just 48s. And keep in mind, Precedent is still on the run. We have 3 runners trying to buy that last ticket to join Kyvix for the World Championship.
It's such a close finish here at the end. Kyvix with this incredibly strong board going up against Prestevant, who is on a win streak right now. Soju, meanwhile, on the bottom part of our screen, took another loss in his last fight, down to 48 HP, so things are getting very scary for Soju going up against Goobums, who is also on a winning streak. If Soju takes another loss here, I think it means he's lost to everyone left in the lobby, and I really worry about his board state, but he does take a win. It looks like a decisive win in that fight against Goobums, so Goobums' streak is snapped. Meanwhile, this Siphon on our main screen is just not going to be good enough. Prestevant, a strong board, but he's down a Prismatic against another board that's down as Prismatic, but I see your Siphon board, I see your 4-cost dragons, and I raise you and play around the legendary dragons instead.
Oh, Soju finds a Bard. Can he find a way to squeeze it in? That's such an impactful unit given. Maybe you drop the Pantheon. The 4 Whispers might not be that important right now. Yes, you want to stack all that stats. Can we find a way to tech it in? But at the same time, he's holding a Pantheon pair. It's also kind of crucial to his fundamental strategy here. Soju switches over to the left side. He splits it. Is that enough to what he wants? Is he dodging a Shroud? He's going to be trying the same side as Aurelion Sol. It's a question of whether or not he can get past this Itis, or will anything get in the way? Can Soju outlive it? Here comes the first black hole. Siphon charges. Big damage, but the heal from the Gunblade, the follow-up from the Wind Blast from Deja. Soju needs to win this fight to increase his chance for the World Championship. And doesn't look like this black hole's gonna get it done, as we do have yet another big Rampage, but it charges away, and I think Soju is out of damage. What will be his health total after this fight? Goes down to just 16 and one last chance to fight for that World Championship spot.
God, one last chance to fight for that spot. Kurum X goes out right before him, so we know Soju is going to have more points than Kurum X. He started this game 2 points behind Rainplosion and 1 point ahead of Prestevant. So right now, if he goes out, he's tied with Rainplosion, but he's going to lose the tiebreak because he doesn't have enough first places. He also has to worry about his buddy Prestevant. Soju needs to find his way into the top 3 somehow, some way. If he can get ahead of P-God, that would potentially punch his ticket into Worlds.
We haven't even talked about Googums yet. He has 4 Graves, he has 70 gold. Does he roll it for Graves 3 with the duplicator on his bench? Does he go to 9 and try to play for a higher theoretical cap? For the Aurelion Sol, which shows up in his shop, he skips it. He's going for broke. He's gonna roll it down and see what he can hit here. Can he find the Graves 3? He has the duplicator, just needs to find 3 more, 4 more.
A Zyra 2. It's better than nothing. He's going for Seraphine as well. He still has that duplicator. Goobum's on 44 HP, so he does not have to all in here. He's going to take a beat. He's going to position for this fight. We know he's going against Kyvix. It's hard for me to envision this board beating Kyvix's board. There's just so much raw power with the Jace and the Itis. No access to this Aurelion Sol in the backline for Goobums. We're actually going to go over and watch the 2 boys playing each other for what might well be a world spot. Soju versus Prestevant.
Precedent just has so much less units, but he's trying to get quality over quantity, and it looks like the Soy is going to stay alive for Soju to knock it up, and Soju deals big critical damage, but Precedent's not out just yet. Kyvix gets the win over Goobums, and we're heating up as we get closer and closer to finding out who will be the first person to tag out of 4th place, and I can't help but feel that Precedent is just a little bit outmatched. I think the other 3 boards are just a little bit too far ahead.
This is the case, but because Soju has the Cursed Crown, if they both lose this fight, it's really hard for me to envision Soju maintaining a higher placement in this game than Prestevant. It's all going to come down to this. We see Goobums rolling. There's another Graves 2. Goobums is Soju's matchup. Soju just needs to pray Goobums does not get to Graves 3 before this. We see the Seraphine 3, I think, coming out for Goobums in this game. It is Seraphine 3 against Soju's board for his tournament life, for his World Championship chances.
The Zephyr onto the Zephyr onto the Shyvana, not able to get the Dragon Sent early. We do have Yasuo kind of diving in. Shioyu's going to go down pretty quickly. Seraphine 3 able to drain it down. The Dragon Sense stalls, but I just don't think there's enough to get there. Soju's going to take big damage if all these units survived. Soju, no! 4th place guarantee, -20. He put it all on the line. Prestivan, even if he goes down here, he does not. Gets a win over Kyvix. Hold the phone. Can Lil Bro actually avenge Big Bro here? And can Prestivan do the unthinkable and claim a world spot before Soju, who brought him the teamfight tactics?
God, this is so close. Prestivan, I think, needs to get into second place. Right now, he is 3 points ahead of Rainplosion in this game, but 3 points behind her in the overall standings. Rainplosion would win the tiebreaker against Prestivan because she has many more first places than he does today. So Prestivan needs to find a way somehow to defeat this Seraphine 3 if he wants to keep his world chances alive.
Oh, Zephyr, what's it going to hit? Targets the Siphon, an excellent snipe from Goobums. That is one of the scariest units to fight because the TG is on the COU. TG is not going to be very good here as it goes down. Graves ends up getting knocked up, but he's focusing the Siphon. Siphon doesn't have any aggro drop, and if that's the case, all of his damage sources will be gone outside of the Jace, and Goobums is coming for that average placement. Prestivan is eliminating third, tying him with Soju.
We have our final two. Goobums trying to take care of business right now, getting the highest average placement he possibly can to theoretically get in the World Championship via that. We need to see how the tiebreakers shake out because right now I believe we have a three-way tie between Prestivan, Rainplosion, and Soju for the final spot, and I don't want to call the tiebreakers off the top of my head. I thought it was first places, but I'm getting word that it might not be. So we're going to have to wait and see how it comes out in the end. I believe all three players are tied. We don't know our final world spot. All Goobums can do is control what's in front of him. He has to try to win this game, get the highest average placement he can, and maybe, just maybe, he finds himself in a guaranteed Worlds position as a result.
What's the bullet of choice? Do we Zephyr the front line? Do we try to go for the Aurelion Soul? How do we position this Banshee from the Thief's Gloves onto this Pantheon? Do we move Seraphine up? So many things calculating through Goobums' mind as he needs to come up big. He has so much unleft finished business from the World Championship. He hits the Zephyr on the Aurelion Soul. Let's see if the rest of the team can clean up before Aesol lands and starts attending in the black hole. Seraphine and Graves working on. The black hole only targets 1 or 2 units. Graves is moving slowly but surely, but the big Temper Fate locks down a bunch of units in the center. Graves making his way to the top left center, trying to find ways. Jace finally falls, and this black hole is too late. Goobums has done it in his time of need. Goobums from Canada comes up huge in day 3 of the North American Regional Finals.